This is a Glassbox Media podcast.
Hey, Worsties. If you're new here, welcome. You may be wondering what happened to the rest of our back catalog. Where are episodes 1, 2, and 3? Well, around episode 200 or so, we decided it was time to archive our old episodes. We didn't do this for any reason except that we're kind of embarrassed by the quality of our first 20 episodes. Though there's still tons of fun content, we're just not satisfied with the sound quality and didn't want to subject new listeners to it right off the bat. There's good news, though. If you want to listen to those old episodes and witness the birth of things like Shame Receipts and our FMK segment, you can still do that over on our Patreon. At the $1 a month level, you can find all our old episodes. So if you're hungry for more, head on over to patreon.com/myworstdate. Okay, we love you so much. Cheers and enjoy the episode. Do you want to hear about the best date story?
I absolutely do.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
so-
interested in this.
Yeah, I was at a bar last night for a friend's birthday, and there was a guy there who's friends with my friend, and he was really cool to talk to, just like one of those people that's really easy to talk to, which I love because I have social anxiety that I like hide by being super extroverted. It's a mess. But anyway, so I like spent some time talking to him, and I always use like my worst date as a conversation starter. Like I'm like, I have a podcast about dating. Tell me your worst date story. Like it's just a really good like icebreaker for people. And he's like, well, I have some. I noticed he had a cane and he has spina bifida, which I don't really know exactly. He explained it to me. It's something about like you're born with it, and it's something about like the spine not developing properly.
Okay.
So he was like, yeah, I've had like 28 surgeries in his lifetime and things like that. And he's like, because of his disability, he's like, I definitely have some bad dates, like, you know, dating online and things like that. I definitely have some bad dates. But he's like, I'd have to think about that and like write in and write into you guys and tell you guys. But I have a good date story from dating online if you want to hear it. And I was like, yeah, no, I do.
Yeah, we don't get happy news around here.
I know. I'm like, we need to give you guys a ray of hope.
I need what I need is that Pretty Woman story. Do you know what I mean? That urban legend that's like you're going to be like down in the dumps on the street, but then like a rich Richard Gere is going to pick you up, pull up in a limo and like change your life.
Keep George from assaulting you. That's what happens in that movie as well.
I think the LA version of that is like you're waiting tables and then like.
Well, that took place in LA. Pretty Woman,
Right?
But
Yeah.
the realistic,
real
it's
version.
like
you're gonna be like waiting tables, and then like a rich director is gonna come in and like
Ryan
cast
Phillippe is gonna
cast
eat
you
pancakes
in a movie or whatever,
Yeah.
and that's like the urban legend.
Yeah.
So I'm like, give me a happy date, give me my Pretty Woman date, so I can be like, this could happen to
it
me.
honestly, maybe I'm just like soups emotional or something, but like it actually made me like almost want to cry. Okay, so he was saying that he met this girl on some dating app. I think it was Bumble. I think he was on Bumble and he met a girl on Bumble. And I think he's, you know, very open about his like disability and all of that stuff. And they chatted a little bit and then things kind of fell off. And then he had to have surgery, some kind of surgery. And then she started talking to him again. And like they got to talking and she was like, I really want to like meet up. And he's like, sorry, like I just had surgery. Like I'm immobile essentially. Like he was having people do, you know, things for him for the most part. He could like waddle himself up to go like do stuff and then go, you know, sit back down. But that was basically it. And she was like, no, I really like, I want to see you. Like I want to see you. And he was like, no, you know, it's not fun. Like I'm just like laid up on my couch. And she was like, well, that's okay. That's okay. Like I'm going to come over and like, I'll just
I want
hang
to
out.
chicken soup you.
Yeah, I'll take care of you. Right.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, you know, fine. That's fine. And so she came over and she showed up with board games and like food and like, you know, they played games and she kind of like helped take care of him. And then they were going to be intimate and she had gotten married, I guess, when she was like 20 and was really only like with one person. And her like marriage had fallen apart and like, you know, she was kind of getting upset about it, like starting to like cry a little bit. And she didn't want to, she had like a couple of kids and she didn't want to take her shirt off because she felt like, you know, she hasn't been dating, she breastfed, she's got like stretch marks and scars and all kinds of things. And he was basically like, listen, I'm not perfect. Like, you're not perfect. Like, I'm laid up on this couch right now. We're going to do this thing. So let's just for like one moment just be like, just be what the other person needs. Like, let's just be the perfect person, like for the other person for like a little while. Yeah.
Don't start.
No, I mean, I was like about to cry when he was telling me this.
I can't even.
It was so sweet.
I am way too PMS.
I know. He was like, let's just have like one perfect moment and like you take your shirt off and like I'll take my shirt off. Like we both have like scars and let's just, you know, do this.
I can't even.
Yeah, it's really sweet. And like
then they boned.
And they did. And it was beautiful. This is the part of the movie where it pans up to like the open window or whatever.
Right.
Oh, God.
But yeah, it was just kind of one of those really beautiful like romantic comedy moments almost where it's like, I see you. You know, and they, you know, didn't end up being together. He's kind of seeing somebody else now, but he says that they still like keep in touch and like talk to each other still. So it's just really beautiful.
It's just what they needed for each other at that time.
You know,
Exactly.
she came over there to help take care of him, and he ended up like taking care of her, which I thought was like the sweetest thing. I know. I was like,
that is not my worst date at all.
I know. I like
it's
wrote our
not.
podcast name down on a napkin. I was like, please write in. Thank you.
Oh my God. That is amazing.
I know.
I'll put that in my pretty woman pile for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
My crying story this week has nothing to do with dating at all, but I just finished Sally
my
Field book
God.
and was
On
like,
Audible?
on Audible, and was like probably ugly crying in my car driving through Wisconsin this week. Like,
Is it her autobiography?
yeah, it's so good, and she talks a lot about the relationship with her mother, and so it's. I don't want to spoiler alert it anyway, but it's just was really tender, and at the end, it was just I love her and. Having her read the book to me was like, I love you, Sally. Can we be friends?
I thought you.
Okay, here's something kind of funny, though, that I think you guys will appreciate.
Okay.
So, Post Malone. We all have feelings about Post Malone, right? Not
I don't
great
get
ones.
it. I
Not
just
great
don't
ones.
get it.
Understand it. I think he looks gross.
He
He
does.
looks like garbage pail.
He does. And there are girls who
love
fucking
him.
love him. And look, his songs are catchy or whatever. Like, I get it. Like, but he looks trashy. I feel very judgmental for saying that, but he does.
Look, I got knuckle tattoos. Nobody's. I'm not like. I get it. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but it's like
I don't care about his like tattoos or anything like that. It's just like, could you just look like you maybe take a shower?
Thank you.
Like that's all.
Yeah, you
because
look like
here's
you
the thing.
stink.
I don't even mind face tattoos because the lead singer of this band, Highly Suspect, has face tattoos, and he is effing hot.
Yeah.
So it's not about that at all.
No, like do your style. Just like
Exactly.
if you could look like you
Just
brush
look
your teeth.
clean.
One.
Yeah, yes. But this kind of, I couldn't decide if this made me like him more or less.
Okay.
So he,
You're like, I don't know where I feel on this.
I don't know where I land on this. I keep going back and forth between being like, I like this, and then being like, I fucking hate you.
Oh my God.
He spends $40,000 a year on Postmates. Last year he spent $40,000 on Postmates
I kind of
relate.
love that.
Kind of love it. Kind of relate.
because it's also like he spent $8,000 to $10,000 on like Popeyes chicken. And I'm like, I kind of love that. Like,
I don't know if I hate that. I think it's actually well, and I think here's the thing too. You're post fucking Malone. You can't just go out and go
or
to
maybe
the
you
store.
just don't want to. Like, it also made him. It was so relatable because it's like he's not even ordering from anywhere good. It's like CVS and like Ralph's and like
Popeyes.
Yeah, and Popeyes. And he also like
I feel like this is one of those articles where they're like, they're just like us.
I know. I love it because he was also like when he orders like chicken fingers or whatever, he'll have like the Postmates driver like he'd be like, "Can you open the box just like a little bit to ventilate them so they don't get soggy?" And I'm like, "You're genius." I kind of like
Oh my God.
I kind of love you.
It's like,
like, not only do I want my Popeyes, I want my Popeyes
fresh as possible.
Yeah.
He's like, he's like, I know you got other stops to make or whatever. That's fine, but if you could just crack that shit open
my
a little
God.
bit, ventilate it.
I love it.
Postmates Malone, I love it.
Postmates Malone.
Oh my God, I love that story. That actually makes me kind of like, here's the thing. I'm not attracted at all to Post Malone, but everything that I've read about him, I'm like, I totally would want to be like his bro.
He seems
Do you know
nice.
what I mean?
Yeah,
He
like there's nothing wrong with him.
He seems funny, and he has like a sense of humor about
Yeah,
himself.
He
and stuff,
does.
too.
Did you
which
see
is
the thing? Somebody like one of the guys from what is that fucking show that I love? The Four Gay Guys.
Oh, Queer Eye.
One of the guys from Queer Eye, he tweeted and he was just like, why does everybody want us to do a Queer Eye on Post Malone? And Post Malone responded and was like, because they think I look like trash. And they
Oh my God.
And then
I
he's
kind of
like,
want them to do it.
by the way, I love your show. Like he has a sense of humor about himself. He knows that people.
Would that be the fucking funniest
It would be the best. I would
episode?
love it.
I'd watch the hell out of
I
that.
would watch the hell out of it. I love Queer Eye. I love this
Me too.
reboot so much. I
Me
follow
too.
all of them.
It's amazing.
And
Aren't there 5 guys?
There's 5. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, 5. My bad.
You're like, I missed one.
I missed one.
But yeah, that would be the best show. I totally want
I would
them to do
love
that.
it. I want to see what they do with that.
I want
facial
SNL
hair.
to do a skit on this.
Please, oh my God, please! That would be amazing.
Have Post Malone on as your
Yeah, but
guest.
so besides the way that he looks, yeah, he actually seems like he would be fun to
Yeah.
hang out with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Seems
just
like a fun
would
guy.
not be attracted to him.
No.
I
Let's,
was just
no, like
don't
let's
touch
just
me.
let's hang out. Don't touch me. You sit on that side of the couch, but I will come hang out in your house and we can order some fucking Popeyes chicken.
Yeah.
It'd be amazing from Postmates.
Postmates Malone. You just can't. It's so fucking funny.
Fucking fantastic.
Meghan Markle's pregnant.
Oh
Prigger.
my God.
Prigger.
Prego.
Rigo. It's in
Yeah, I'm I try not to be like about the royals, but
I know, me
this
either,
one
but I
just fills
love
me
her.
with like
So much glee.
love.
They're
yeah.
so cute.
They're
too.
so
I
cute.
know.
They're
And
very
I'm just
good looking.
so eager for a little biracial baby
I know.
in the fucking royal family. I'm just
Yeah.
like, fucking yes.
Yeah.
Brown it up in that household. I love
Brown
it.
it
I'm so
up.
excited. I can't wait.
Oh my God.
But yeah, no, it's awesome that there's a biracial princess.
Yeah.
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 That's amazing.
And she's American, and like
Mhm.
she, didn't grow up super rich or anything. She's
I love
so like relatable.
That's your fucking story right there. That's your
Yes.
fucking
there is your
Pretty Woman.
Pretty Woman.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how many royals are left like in the world.
I don't
No,
know. Yeah.
Harry was the last like hot one.
Yeah.
So
No joke. Unless, hey, listeners, if there's another hot royal,
You wanna
help
introduce-
me with my
Christina's
my
a
pretty
biracial
woman.
angel.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are like, hot royals from other countries. Get you like a Denmark royal or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Danish royalty.
Yeah.
What is Denmark? Aren't they like socialists? Don't they have?
I think so. It's
I don't
it's one of those
Like, I think
Nordic
a lot of them
countries.
still have like
Do they still
royalty,
have a
like Belgium
royal-
does. And
I think
Oh.
no, they still do. It's just like a fucking figurehead or whatever. I think in one of those countries, there's a country that has a black princess. It was like the first black European princess.
That's awesome.
yeah,
I love
yeah.
it.
One of those littler countries.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Liechtenstein or something like that. I'm serious. Yeah, but I love it. I'm so excited to see
I
that
know.
baby.
You know
Me
what
too.
else makes her super relatable? Her crazy as fuck family trying to
Oh
make
my
a
God,
dollar
fucking
off
right.
her.
I
I was
know.
like, that's America.
Yeah, I know. That
This
is America. And did you see that like fucking England was freaking the fuck out that she closed her own door recently?
Oh gosh,
She like
I
got
love
out
that
of a
though.
car and she closed the
I
door
saw it,
herself.
yeah.
And they like replayed this shit like it was a slow-mo fucking like replay. They're like right there. They're circling it like you're watching
Yeah,
football.
like you're watching football.
There it is.
Arrow with the door shutting.
Her hand makes contact with the door right there.
Wow.
You're just like, can you imagine that life?
I
Going
love
from
it.
being like kind of like
Independent.
yeah.
Having to take care of yourself.
middle class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden being like, you can't shut your own door
Had her
without.
own little bit of celebrity in
Yeah.
her own right, but yeah, like that's funny though.
That's crazy.
Huh.
I can't believe she's already knocked up though.
I know, I
What's
was
the
like-
math on that?
It's cutting it real close. They're saying that she's 3 months along. But I'm like, they're also, if she's only 3 months along, they're announcing it really early. So I have a theory that she was already pregnant. And
You think
On
so?
her- I think she was pregnant on her wedding
I think
day.
she was pregnant.
Shotgun wedding.
Yeah. Well, she would have only been like a little bit
Little.
pregnant.
A minute pregnant.
Yeah. But I think because 3 months is really soon, isn't it? To like announce.
When was the wedding? Oh, no, I think after the first trimester is when you announce.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
when you're 3
Okay.
months, that's when you announce.
I love that she got so
Typically.
much shade
I wouldn't know.
too for announcing it at like the other princess's
Oh my god, that's
wedding.
fucking
Oh,
hilarious!
she
At Eugenie's,
did?
at Eugenie's wedding, she's
Yeah.
just like, "By the way, I'm pregnant." Mic drop. Like,
Oh, damn. That's shifty.
Congrats on your wedding.
I mean, but
I'm
there's
pregnant
rules.
though.
there
Yeah.
are rules.
There are
You shouldn't
rules.
do
Like,
that.
you don't do that. Like,
No.
you don't wear white to your friend's wedding. You do not fucking drop the
No.
I'm pregnant bomb on the wedding. Like,
Especially
that's-
not when you're
that's kinda
Meghan
fucked up.
fucking Markle.
Yes,
Yeah.
because you know that's not going to be like just one of those things like the family's real excited and everybody's real quiet about it. That's like, oh, that's fucking national news.
Eugenie tried to have her wedding
Kicked out.
televised too, and they were like, "No,
Nobody cares.
nobody cares."
What's your name again?
But her dress was really pretty. Actually, really
She
liked
looked
her dress.
great.
She looked amazing.
She did.
Yeah.
She looked really great.
And I read gosh, this is like a surgery heavy episode, but I read a thing that she deliberately chose a dress that was like kind of low back off the shoulder
To show off
because
the
she
scar.
has a spine scar.
She does. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh.
and she wanted people
I
to
love,
see it. I love
I
it.
love scars. We've talked about this before, but I love like uniqueness and like little scars and like, oh, you got a little chip in your tooth or whatever. Like, not fucked up teeth, but like
Makes you-
you know what I mean?
it
Like,
makes you-
little
yeah.
things. Like, you know, you got
Unique.
fangs or
I love
whatever.
it.
Like, that's
You've
kind of
got
cool.
fangs. I kind of love that when you see like a girl with like really sharp incisors. I'm like,
wait,
that's so
like
cute.
Kristen Dunst or Kristen
Yeah,
Dunst.
yeah, I love that. And she gets a lot of shit about her teeth, and
I
I
like
think
her.
that she's cute.
But I think it makes her look unique, and I
Me
think
too.
that's cool. Speaking of fangs, do you want to do my fuck, marry, kill?
Yes. This episode is coming out on Halloween.
I
and I have a feeling
know. It's vampires.
vampires.
So
Okay.
I chose 3 vampires up for discussion, but this is what I came up with.
Okay.
My 3 of my favorite vampires: Blade.
Okay.
Ooh, I
the Wesley
love
Snipes.
Fucking
Blade.
love Blade.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite vampire movies
Wesley
of all
Snipes
time.
was hot too.
Lestat
Yes. Oh.
or Edward Cullen.
Oh.
Oh.
We got some kills
Okay.
already. That
Yeah.
was quick. So this kill will be done with a stake to the heart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who do we want to stake?
Oh my god.
Do you-
I have
do you guys
to,
like
I have
those
to,
three?
I
Yeah.
love it.
I
I'm
never
gonna
watched
admit,
True Blood, so I was like, I could do him, but I'm like, I don't even really know that guy.
Oh, the
Yeah.
only one from True Blood that I would want would be
the
Alexander
Skarsgård.
Skarsgård. Oh, sexy.
Oh
So
my
hot.
Well,
God,
sorry,
so
guys.
No, no.
hot.
Yeah, we don't have to do him.
Sticking
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah, stick with it.
No, is Edward Cullen from Twilight?
Yeah.
Okay. I have to admit, I've never seen nor read.
But
I read all
you
the
did-
Twilight.
I know who it is.
Yeah, you said you liked him a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not Edward Cullen.
But if we're talking,
we
we're
Character.
talking the characters.
I think
right?
the character is what you're doing. Yeah.
Don't the only thing I know about Twilight is the vampires sparkle.
Yeah,
Right?
they sparkle. He's forever 17, and he's a little creepy. I'm gonna kill him for
Okay.
sure. We're gonna stake
I'm gonna
him.
kill him too.
Yeah.
I don't like a sparkly vampire.
And he's fucking creepy.
know.
Like, I don't know. He's a little weird. He like sneaks in her window and like watches
Yeah.
her sleep and shit. And
I
I'm
mean,
like, I don't
you
like
guys have all
that.
seen Blade, though, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh
you guys-
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like,
Blade.
so that character, like, so he's actually half vampire, but
Yeah.
I do like.
and I do
yeah,
like the
he's-
halfie.
I know, same Z's. we have things to talk about. I think I would marry Blade and fuck Lestat.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I would do that.
Lestat is Tom Cruise, right?
Yeah, that character.
The character,
and he's
though.
not
Oh, and
very likable.
No, he's terrible.
and I love him. You know, I love Tom Cruise.
But if he didn't
Right.
murder
my
you,
feeling.
he'd be really fun.
he's he's a very questionable character,
Yeah,
and I only
he-
know him from Interview with the Vampire.
If,
so
if you had sex with him, he might kill you, though.
I have a feeling. Yeah.
yeah, there's a very good chance.
Yeah.
But then you have Blade to come save you if he's your husband.
True.
But you are cheating on him with Lestat, so maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe
you marry him
Lestat
after.
is like an ex-boyfriend. You know what I mean? It's like
You
Yeah.
have fucked him.
yeah.
In the past.
It's a
I went down a really dark road, and I'm now
I
finding
really
myself.
liked bad guys.
I was just
bad boys.
really like emotionally lost at the time, and yeah, very vulnerable. It was
But
in
yeah,
a vulnerable place.
If Lestat promised not to kill me, I would fuck him and marry Blade.
Oh,
yeah, I'm gonna be the same.
Yeah.
I want to marry Blade too.
Yeah.
I loved
He'd-
that.
he would take
movie.
care
you
of
guys
you.
are
He'd
killing
protect you.
Edward. So you're both on the same page.
Yeah.
Kill Edward.
Fuck
Mary?
Lestat, marry Blade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I actually haven't thought about this. Very hard. I really like Blade a lot. I actually think I'm going to go a little different. I think I'm going to fuck Edward Cullen.
Okay.
I think that I'm going to kill Lestat.
Yeah.
And then, because
Your chance
you
of
know
survival
I
is
fucking
much
love Tom
higher.
Cruise. You know I love Tom Cruise, but I think I'm going to marry Blade too. I love the fucking character of Blade. Again, my favorite of vampire movies. And
Oh
yeah.
my God. Wasn't there an installment where like Parker Posey was the bad guy?
In Blade?
Yeah, there's
God, I
been
can't
like
remember.
several
There's
Blades.
like 3 of them.
Yeah, there's 3.
One of them, I think Parker Posey.
You know
is,
who would
like,
know the
one of
answer to this? Hey, Chris. Yo. Is Parker Posey a bad girl in Blade?
Nice.
I like that. I like Parker
Good job.
Posey as a
Thanks.
villain.
Love Parker
That's
Posey.
great.
She's
I love
so.
Chris is our Encyclopedia Brown
I know,
of this
he
of
is.
every episode.
I know. We had to like yell and ask him random questions.
Hey, Chris.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean, your chances of survival are much higher than mine and Christina's. That's for sure. Because
Yeah.
I mean, Edward Cullen's not going to kill you.
No.
He's very like
However,
lukewarm.
I mean, you have to be a vampire, right? Because he almost killed Bella.
He did. It's like cold vampire dick. Oh my God.
What are you talking about?
Dude,
Please
read the
describe
book?
it.
That
No, I
book-
haven't read the book.
Oh.
I haven't seen the movie.
I think
so
you only have to read like the first 2 chapters of the last book.
That
Breaking
book
Dawn,
got
so-
crazy. Like that
was weird.
series got
It
weird.
was weird.
Like the final book, the final book, she's not a vampire
Uh-huh.
yet. So
Yet.
spoiler alert, I guess, guys, if you don't want to. If you don't want to hear about this.
If you cared,
dying right now.
if you cared enough,
If you care about Twilight, skip
off.
this portion.
fast
But
forward.
in the last book, she gets pregnant, right? She gets pregnant.
because they get married.
They get married because they wouldn't
You
have
have
sex until
before
they
they're
got
married.
married.
Yeah.
But he
Okay.
still wouldn't turn her into a vampire. So they have sex. She gets pregnant. So she's
He
got
almost
a
kills
fucking,
her during sex, by the way.
and she's got a fucking vampire baby in her like stomach, and it like claws its way out.
Oh my
It's
God.
fucking awful.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
Shit got weird in those books. Like
Wow.
so weird.
yeah.
And then the werewolf who was in love with Bella like fucking imprints on the baby.
Oh, I know.
And is like,
it's
we're gonna
it's
get married
problematic.
whenever you grow up.
Which, by the way, happens in 3 minutes.
Yeah,
so.
because she grows up super fast because she's half vampire, and like, and then she's like, now you can marry the guy who was in love with your mom. Yay!
I never really thought about how
It's
fucking,
fucked up.
I mean, I have, but it's like to revisit it. It's like what
It's
the
so
fuck?
fucked up,
How is
like-
it? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would love for you guys to explain like all these kind of books to me because I also haven't read like Hunger Games. I want
Oh,
you,
that was a
I
good
want
book.
you to like.
I didn't like the
explain,
ending
like,
of Hunger Games either, though.
Okay,
I don't
our
like-
second podcast that we're going to launch is going to be me and Cassie just telling you
Shittily
books.
telling, shittily retelling
Yeah,
books.
shittily retelling books you
That's
haven't
the
read.
name of the podcast. Shittily retelling
And
books.
we'll just do all young adult books. This
Yes,
is all young
all
adult
YA.
books.
yeah.
all YA. That's
Which
amazing.
I don't even hate on young adult. I think it gets a bad rap and like people think it's automatically shitty.
Which
the
one?
same way that romance novels do, young adult
Oh,
books.
yeah. Oh no, I do too.
But yeah, I enjoy them for the most
Look.
part. You go in knowing what it is.
It's the same thing I talk about, like when we talked about on Boobies and Newbies.
Yeah.
I said it then. I'm like, I don't have a hate for things like YA or romance or like 50 Shades of Grey because I know what I'm getting myself into. I'm
Right.
not getting into it because I'm like, you know what I want to read this week? It's some really deep, like, I know
Right.
I'm not reading,
You're like, what am I
That's
going to
Shakespeare
choose?
here.
Catching Fire. Yes.
That's what
This
I
is
get
it.
like upset with like big time movie reviewers doing
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Boss Baby. It's like
shut up.
you're not gonna.
yes. Oh, you didn't like Boss Baby?
What the fuck
What?
do you expect? I'm like, no one that's going to see Boss Baby isn't like, I'm ready to be moved. I'm ready
Yes,
to.
I'm here.
I'm here.
I'm
I'm
prepared.
here for a beautiful cinematic experience.
I'm here for this Brokeback Mountain, and you're like, oh no, that's not what it is. Oh, so
Then I hate it.
I hate
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
It's like no, get expectations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Blind
Like,
expect. Yeah.
You guys, this is my worst date.
Oh
By the way, if
I
you
know.
didn't know, we're really good at intros.
Yes.
Like
Jesus.
the best at intros.
I keep thinking every week too. I'm like, we got it. We sound like we got to nail this at some point. Like it's really stupid. like we just keep doing it.
I don't know. I mean, if you think that this is some kind of shtick we're putting on, we are genuinely forgetting to introduce ourselves. That's what's happening.
Whether it's too much coffee or too much champagne or
not enough.
Coffee.
Yeah. I'm Keegan.
I'm Christina.
I'm Cassie.
So welcome if you guys have made it this far in.
Also, I always introduce myself like there's a question mark on the end of my name. I'm Cassie.
I think.
Maybe.
Cassie, which if you've heard any of the past episodes, you know I don't know who I am half the time anyway.
Dude, who are we really? Let's get really existential.
Who are we?
I'll tell you who we are. We're people with a Patreon.
Yeah, we are.
Yes. Very exciting.
Yeah, it is really exciting. We spent the last couple of weeks working on all these like amazing things on our Patreon page. So if you check it out, we have all these different tiers that you can help support where you can get bonus content. We've got merch now. We've got lots of fun stuff. So please, if
Just
you have a second, go check it out because we've got some pretty fun bonus stuff that only patrons can access.
Yeah. And the tiers are like really reasonable. You can do it for as low as $1 a month, or if you know, $3 a month or $5 a month.
You couldn't even get a cup of coffee at Starbucks for that.
Yeah, exactly. So we tried to make it as easy for you guys as possible. And we really want to start doing some live shows. We want to start getting more merch. We want to, start doing things like that. So if that's stuff that you are interested in and you want us to do, please support us.
Yes.
It's patreon.com/myworstdate.
Yeah. And while you're at it, follow us on Facebook and all the social medias and all of that.
Yes.
We love it. And we love talking with you guys. And do we have any other housekeeping or anything like that to do?
I don't think so.
We're drawing a blank. Yeah. I guess we are going to take 5 now and we'll come back with stories.
Yes.
Cool. We're back.
Yay.
I got it this time.
You got it.
Oh.
We're back.
You were on it. On top of it.
So this week, you guys, my story comes from Jade from Books and Booze podcast.
Oh, I found her on Drinkarinos.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know she was on Drinkarinos.
Yeah,
fun.
Yeah, she's
so
great.
she sent a story in, and from her dating from actually when she was younger. So this is kind of one of those younger dating stories, which is so fun. I know you love this.
I do. I love them. They're so awkward.
I know. She says, I went on a blind date with a guy a friend of mine knew. This friend's father went on years later to be sued for fraud against my mother as her accountant. So the story already starts off dodgy AF.
Juicy.
Right? Ooh.
Shit.
I know.
Jay, I've listened to a couple episodes of Books and Booze.
Yeah.
And
I listened to one.
Jade's voice is so fucking soothing.
I know.
She's English. And her voice
I think she's South African.
She's English, and the other girl is Australian.
Yes, she's got an amazing accent, and I could listen to them speak to me all day long.
Yeah, it's very soothing.
Yeah. So she said, so I drove to a new town to meet this mystery man who had apparently asked about me from photos of us on Facebook. The reason I hadn't stayed in my own town was because I had recently split with my high school sweetheart and didn't need the drama that comes with a small town seeing me out with someone new. Totally get it. I was told to dress really nicely, so I went shopping for a sparkly, strappy black dress intended for an upper-class restaurant. I got to his 5-star cabin in the forest as he told my friend to tell me that he would drive us to the restaurant. I was 18 and new to the dating scene as I'd been with my ex for almost 4 years. I have to admit, the feeling of being driven to a romantic date sounded exciting to me. I remember clearly thinking how stupid I was along this drive through the forest with no signal that I was going to meet someone I'd never met before.
No,
I
that's
was
terrifying.
Just gonna say that is literally like how like murder begins.
Honestly, this is the
God.
beginning of like a fucking
Horror story.
Yeah, you're dressed up. You're going to a cabin in the woods. I'm like, what kind of ritualistic party are we going to right now?
Yeah.
Am I getting human trafficked?
You're
I
right.
don't want to go.
This sounds a little Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah, I'm not into it. It's like that fucking party in like season 2 of True Detective, and you're like, no, thank you.
No,
God,
don't sign
no.
me up for this. Thank you. Anyway, she says, when I got out of my car, he was outside waiting for me, and I instantly knew this night was going to be a disaster. He was nothing like what my friend had described. I'm not superficial, but I have a certain quote unquote type I go for. And this guy certainly wasn't that.
What kind of friend is this?
I know, right?
You can't give your friend like the truth.
You learn a lot about
Your
what
friends
your
are.
friends think about you, how attractive they think you are, or whatever by how they set you up.
Yeah.
Oh.
So true, right? You're like, wait, you think this is my type? Oh,
Yeah.
we're not
No,
friends anymore.
you freaking nailed it.
Oh.
By the way, this morning you were like,
Thank you.
when you texted last night, you're like, I've got the perfect man for you. And then hearing who it was this morning, I was like,
You are
Keegan,
right about
you
that.
are correct.
You're like, yes, ma'am. I was starting to wonder if my friend had set me up, like as a joke. I tend to go for tall, dark, and handsome. This guy was huge with blue eyes and pale skin. Not my type at all. He also lacked all social skills. The way he looked at me, smiled, and even spoke to me made the whole thing seem really fucking awkward.
Oh God, you're with an awkward guy in a cabin in the woods.
I know.
No.
He refused to tell me where we were going for dinner, which put me on edge because I'm not stupid and have my wits about me. At that stage, I was still always texting my dad whenever wherever I was in case I needed rescuing. I had my phone firmly clutched in my hand throughout the entire car ride, but we eventually pulled up to the town's shopping center. He walked me into a restaurant, which was basically the equivalent to a McDonald's. Holding onto the small of my back the whole way.
Ugh.
He was staying in a really nice cabin, renowned for being booked for honeymoons, engagements, etc., etc. And I'd been told to dress up extra nice, so I instantly thought this was a joke.
Time out. Why is he staying in a cabin?
I don't
as
know.
well?
I thought that was weird too. I'm like, is he just? I don't know.
That's weird.
It is
That's
weird.
super weird.
Oh, I don't know. Anyway, so we sat down at a table situated next to a huge play den for children, and were given Indian-themed props to wear at the table.
Shut your face.
Oh my God.
Oh my
There is
God.
so much in that one sentence.
So much
she
wrong with
is
this.
in a black strappy dress at a
Sparkling.
McDonald's next to a
It's
playpen.
not a
And now
McDonald's.
we've introduced cultural
I know.
appropriation.
I'm like, oh God. Oh no. So much is wrong with this.
Oh my God. Granted, the food there is good, better than the cheeky cheesy at McDonald's. That is. First of all, always calling it a cheeky cheesy.
Cheeky cheesy.
From now on. That's amazing. Delicious steak and ribs, but it's the kind of place you could get into barefoot and in a baggy t-shirt. I felt so out of place. We got through dinner fairly awkwardly, and I was pretty excited that it was coming to an end. Then I remembered I'd left my car at the cabin and groaned at my own stupidity. The ride back to his place was awful. He was putting his hand on my knee and telling me he'd had such a wonderful time and wanted to keep in touch with me next time he was in town. I was trying to be polite so I could get away as quickly as possible. He invited me back into his cabin when we got back, and even though I was nervous as hell to say no, considering we were in the middle of a forest alone where no one could hear me scream, I refused. Oh my God, it's so frightening. After a bit of protesting, he did finally let me go with a kiss. I automatically pulled away from, darting to my car in the dark and locking my doors instantly. Oh God. It's so, A few days later, after this ex-girlfriend of mine was bitching at me about how rude I had been to him, I
Can you
received a
fucking
mass
imagine?
amount of psychotic emails from none other than this guy's wife.
Shut your fucking
Well,
face.
Cabin explained, I guess.
Cabin explained
Wow.
he couldn't take her to his house because his wife was there.
Oh my.
And this girl is 18.
18.
Oh my God.
What a
so much
piece
yuck.
of shit.
So much yuck.
Ugh.
And
I
also
think the yuck on the ex-girlfriend of hers
yeah.
is that because
yeah.
what, you didn't know he was married? You
Good
didn't know,
point.
like, what the fuck?
And
Yeah.
she's got the nerve to fucking be bitching at you about being rude?
Yeah. That's a friend you need
yeah.
to drop immediately.
Clearly.
Yeah.
She did say ex-friend.
Oh,
so.
okay.
Good,
Yeah.
good for you. Yeah.
Oh my God. She, so the wife, she told me she needed to know exactly what happened as she was already a mother of two and his children and was expecting her third. I felt sick to my stomach and responded to her saying, Yes, we had gone out on a blind date and told her everything he had done, but told her I had rejected all attempts. I then apologized to her, but told her I was blocking her and her disgusting husband because this was none of my business. Before I blocked her, I told her to do what was best for her and the kids and to get the hell away from him. So basically she goes on to say, disgusting, because like, what if she had said yes? And their wives, children's, girlfriends, and partners deserve better than that,
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah. That's layers of awful. Everything about that story had a lot of things in it.
Oh my God.
It had,
I'd say the most trivial part of the story that bothers me or that sticks with me, this is my own pet peeve. I fucking hate not being dressed for an occasion correctly.
I loathe
overdressed or
undressed.
Either way.
Horrible. If you're like the most dressed up person somewhere, that's fucking awful. And why?
And
I
most
feel like
underdressed. Same. I feel the same.
nobody was like looking out for her at all, because like her friend obviously wasn't looking out
Right.
for her, lied to her about what he looked like, and didn't know he was married or didn't tell you that he was married.
Right?
And then this guy tells you to dress up and then takes you to essentially a fucking Sizzler. What?
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah, it sounded like a Sizzler with a playpen in it. Which
Kids play.
what?
No. Oh my God.
wow.
And the fear
layers.
of being in a fucking like
Middle of nowhere cabin?
Forest.
where your
Yeah.
phone doesn't work.
Yeah,
Ew.
no thanks. Bye.
No.
Oh my God.
Ugh.
Thanks, Jade.
All right. So this is one that I've gotten from Reddit, and it's kind of short, but I don't know. It really cracks me up. He goes, I was on a first date with a girl and everything was going great. We had a nice dinner and the conversation was great. After dinner, she asked if we could head to the bar where I had met her the week before. I said, sure, no problem. We get to the bar, order a couple of drinks, and we're having a really good time. She points out that the guy she dated for a few months, let's call him Chad, was there.
Oh God.
That's kind of awkward to bring up, but whatever. I kind of know Chad since he's a regular at the bar and we have some mutual friends.
Oh no.
I didn't know he and my date used to go out.
That's awkward.
Chad sees that I'm with her and soon leaves the bar. A few minutes later, my date starts checking her phone and texting someone.
Oh God.
I go order another round of drinks. When I get back, my date asks if it would be okay if she went back to Chad's house.
Oh,
What the
my God. What?
What the fuck?
Who has the fucking balls
I know, that is
Oh,
ballsy.
shit.
Wow. Wow.
to ask that?
That is so rude.
Oh my God.
I told her she could do whatever she wanted to.
Yeah, bye.
I then said goodnight and went home alone. She texted me an hour later
Oh no.
apologizing and said that Chad wouldn't let her in.
Oh my God.
She then asked if she could come to my house.
Block. We're done here. No.
I politely declined and went to sleep.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
What?
You're like, no.
The end.
A terrible
end.
person.
Oh no.
You're
Who
out on a
does
date, you're
that?
having a great time,
my
dinner
God.
and drinks and everything, and then you're like, can I go bone another guy? He's like,
Can I go
Yeah,
bone
bye.
my ex-boyfriend, please?
Okay.
Like, oh my God. No.
and then it's like,
Just kidding.
Can I come bone you instead?
Oh man.
wow.
Thirsty.
Yeah.
Fucking what's wrong with people? Every week, what is wrong with people?
Who raised you?
That's what I mean, I don't need to be that assertive, but I certainly need to. I'm like, I just don't understand how people have the balls to like
No.
say and
don't
behave
know.
in this
I
way.
don't know either. Yeah, like that makes me so fucking uncomfortable. Like, oh my God, no.
I got to be honest with you. 20-something-year-old me, like young 20-something, that may have been me.
I mean, just finish your drinks. I feel
You're
like
like, he was actually writing about me.
that's actually
that's
I'm sorry, sir.
that's-
I apologize.
I just feel like you could have easily gotten out of that situation by just finishing your drinks.
Yeah.
And then
Being like, I
going
have
to
go
Chad's
home.
house.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, then
Why
being
did
like,
you have to
oh,
go
this was nice,
immediately?
but bye. And then sneak off to Chad's house. Why? Like, so strange. Okay.
I
Anyway.
really feel like that could have 100% been me.
That's what
I'm having flashbacks right now of Phoebe and
need you guys to start taking notes, and I want more of your
I know.
bad dates.
I don't have any.
definitely, I mean, like relatable to that. Like I was screwing around with this guy, and you can bleep that name, but
Yeah.
and I was 100% dickmatized, but also knew that this guy was not good for me.
Right.
But I would definitely like go on dates with other guys and be like, yeah, call this guy up. He was definitely like, yeah, I definitely did shit like that.
Awesome.
That might have been a story about me.
I'm the most boring person of all time. I didn't do anything. I did nothing with my life.
I do. Mine are all, I have so many shame receipts. They live deep
I
down.
Want more.
They
I want
live deep
more
down.
shame receipts.
I don't tell my shame receipts as well as you do is the problem. My shame receipts are just me and shame poop.
Just wallowing
Just
through
wallowing
shame-
in my shame
shame
shit.
shit.
Oh my God.
All right. So this is from a coworker of mine. We have worked together for almost 7 years now. So I have seen her through sometimes, and she has some stories. She
Is
actually
this the one that hates us for killing Justin Timberlake?
Yes, same
I
person.
can't believe she
So
shared the story with us because
excited.
she hated us.
Yeah,
she was
thank
so
you.
angry.
She loves us though. She listens to us every week.
Yay!
But
Hi,
she
coworker.
she's got some great stories. She's got some other ones that she's going to send in.
Yes.
But this one is okay. I'm just going to tell it real quick.
Okay.
And I'm going to embellish because I was working with her in there at this time during this
Awesome.
time period. So I had a front row seat to this.
Popcorn
and this
ready.
This email is called "My Worst Relationship Almost."
Oh.
So, this isn't really a bad date, but a bad encounter with online dating. It was 2012. I had just gotten out of a 6-year relationship and was ready to see what was out there. I met a guy on Instagram, not plenty of fish, but still bad, who seemed pretty cool and met my only requirement at the time, be a baseball fan.
Oh, right on.
Okay.
Yeah, she used to go to Angels
can
games
feel
like
that.
every week. Like she was always at the Angels games.
I
I
get
love
that.
that.
As a sports fan.
Yeah.
I can totally get that.
Yeah.
Well, just like as an anything fan, like if
Yeah.
you're a super fan of music and someone's like, I love going to concerts, it's like, great,
Yeah.
we have something
Something in common
common
to like do together,
Exactly.
like a built-in first date or whatever.
Exactly.
Naturally, as the curious female I am, I creeped his IG and he seemed legit. His IG was kind of fancy. He had pictures with a Porsche in front of a big house. He was a musician. And she put in parentheses, red flag now. I thought it was cool back then.
Yeah, right?
A fucking men.
You know, fancy. We agreed to meet for coffee one night and it went pretty great. We hung out a couple more times, and then came the day he asked me to hang out at his place. Based on my IG investigations, I thought he lived in La Cañada. Is that a place? La Cañada, Flint Ridge,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. As that big place I spoke about was tagged there, that big house. So I'm on my way to his place. I pass right by La Cañada to a less desirable part of town. Cool, no problem. I get to his house, not the big house on IG, no biggie. I see him open the side gate and he greets me. He starts taking me toward the back of the house. Turns out he lives in a room behind his parents' house. And by the way, there was no Porsche in sight.
Oh, duh.
Again, no problem. Setting aside that he was driving a Nissan and that his big IG house was really a room behind a garage, we had a good time. It was about 2 months of intense dating. I'm talking constant contact, and we'd hang out a lot. I met his family. I hung out with his brother, who I later learned was not his brother, but his cousin, and his quote-unquote brother's wife every weekend. And then, all of a sudden, he starts ghosting me. He unfollowed me from all of his socials and blocked me on Instagram. I was crazy confused until he unblocked me from IG, which then made the confusion go even crazier confused. He was posting pictures of him and his quote-unquote wifey. He was posting pictures of baby clothes and captioning the things with a couple and a baby emoji and saying things like, "Can't wait to meet you." What the hell?
Oh.
She showed me this. She would come to work and she was like, and first of all, this guy, he is definitely one of these people on IG because she's tall. She's like 5'8". He's shorter than her, which she doesn't have a problem with. He's like 5'5" or 5'6". And when they would take pictures together, he would stand on things to stand next to her.
My God.
She would crop the picture so that he looked taller than her.
Oh,
Yes.
What a douchebag.
Yes. And so I remember when this happened, she came to work and like showed me her phone and she was like, "What the fuck is this?" Because it wasn't just baby clothes. It was like pictures of children, like babies.
Oh.
Yeah, and he'd be like, my daughter or whatever. So weird. Okay.
Oh my God.
Dude, Napoleon is fucked up.
I know, right? We had just stopped talking 2 weeks prior to this. Was his ass cheating on his wife with me? His pregnant wife, no less? No. About a week later, he deletes it all, adds me again, and asks me out.
Wait.
Listen, I am the...
I'm just like curious enough that I'd be like, okay, and I want to know
everything
what happened.
She says, listen, I'm the first to admit that I was suffering from major self-esteem issues back then, so don't judge me when I tell you I did go out with him again.
I want to hear it
and
all.
She says, I know, I'm awful.
No judgment.
Not judging.
No, I would have done the same thing. And it's just because I'm fucking curious.
Yeah.
I need to know, yeah.
She says, and don't judge me further. I know you're judging since I'm judging myself. When I tell you that dumbass me didn't even ask him what the whole wifey crap was about.
No.
I believe this cycle continued for about two more times over a 6-month period. And that's when he started like posting pictures of an actual child. Like it was a kid and he was like, my daughter. But clearly wasn't his daughter.
So confused.
It's so strange. Present day me has no idea why I let this go on for so long. I clearly knew he was a huge liar and a bit on the crazy side, but I kept going back for more. Was it our mutual love for baseball or his constant confusing / psycho actions that kept me interested? I don't know. I'm just glad that I broke out of that nasty bad self-esteem spell and moved to someone who is not a liar and also doesn't have an Instagram.
Yeah, smart.
Oh
But
my God.
yeah, it was so weird because he like ghosted. They hung out all the time, like every night, and she hung out with his family like all the time.
Right.
And then he seriously just stopped talking to her, blocked her across all social media, and then started posting pictures with other girls and then saying things like she's pregnant and then deleted all of that.
That is so weird.
And then started
I'm so
adding
confused.
pictures of like kids and being like, my daughter, like, isn't she beautiful? And I'm like, you definitely totally stole that picture from another place on the internet.
Really?
What the
Yeah, for sure. He didn't have kids.
Oh,
no, these weren't his kids. He was just, he wanted Instagram to think he had kids.
Why?
I don't know.
confused.
It was really weird. It was really weird. Yeah.
The fuck?
Yes.
Unless he's like, well, no, because if they were hanging out like every night, when we'd have a chance to like, I'm so confused. I'm so
Yeah, he definitely
shook.
didn't have kids.
So
They weren't
weird.
his kids. And he kept he would delete things and then just act like it didn't happen. I'm just like, what?
What multiple personality are you today?
It's
I
strange.
can't even
Yeah,
understand.
that is strange.
Yeah. Anyway.
I got to get you guys on Dude Face on Statler.
Stabler?
Or Stabler.
Stabler.
Yeah.
I took that picture you sent and I did try to reverse Google image search it and it didn't pull anything up. So
yeah.
I was like, oh, we'll have to dig deeper.
Yeah.
We'll try again.
Yeah. I'll give you guys the
If you have a professional picture, it would make it easier because if it's
Gotcha.
linked to something if it's on
LinkedIn or
Yeah. All right. Yeah. We'll do a debriefing post episode. I'll give you the
all
stats.
right,
and
awesome,
we'll-
excellent.
Snoopy pants it.
Yeah.
And Janet looks it up.
We'll get the FBI.
Also,
involved.
speaking of, my coworker who wrote this story in is fantastic at
Ooh.
online snooping.
She's hired.
Yeah,
Well,
she's
I
great.
mean, I can see where she got her skills from.
I know
'cause
she had to.
She had to.
Self-protection.
Right? I'm gonna get her on the case.
Yeah, get her
too.
on the case.
That's
You're
awesome.
hired.
All right, give us your crazy in love, Cass.
All right. So this week I didn't even try to do a case that I didn't think you'd know because I'm really been wanting to do this case for a while. And I'm so fascinated
Sometimes
by
those
it.
are fun, doing ones that
I
you just love. cases you
Fascinated
love.
with the story. And I love the case of like somebody who was just on the brink of fantastic and then it cut short. I don't
Yeah.
love that, but
Yeah.
I'm kind of fascinated by
Yeah.
it. So
Kinda
love
like,
isn't the right.
a Sharon Tate or that
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Gone
It's-
too soon.
Yeah, gone too soon. Sad. Yeah. So this
You're
is
I love it. Sad. Great.
I love it. It's sad. This is the Playmate murder. I don't know if you know this
Oh.
one. I'm sure you do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The murder of Dorothy Stratton.
Yes.
Dorothy Stratton was born in February 1960 in Vancouver, Washington. And she was kind of described as a young kid as very bookish, very, smart. She had grown up with her mother, her and her brother. And then her mom became single and had married her stepdad. Her stepdad was a really abusive guy and had a really bad temper, and apparently at one point ended up breaking her brother John's arm. And that was the final straw for her mom, and her mom left this guy.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Because that shit's hard.
Doesn't have a lot of really great male role models in her life, and never really at this point. So my point in explaining that is that she really doesn't have any father figures in her life. She doesn't have somebody who's got her back. Or
and we know that there's a cycle of abuse that people can really get stuck in, and you have such mixed up. You start to conflate love and violence. So you start to get
your
those kind of
cross.
mesh together. Yeah, your signals cross.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, you said that much better than me.
No, what you said it makes sense, and that was my point in even bringing it up because I pulled a lot of this story from different things. A long time ago, I had watched the Reels episode about her. I watched an episode of, I think it was a biography on her I found on YouTube.
She's so beautiful.
So many articles that I found. So I pulled things from different places just to try to piece together the story I wanted to tell. But I was to me, that's a really important piece of it. And I think that too, because we are a dating podcast, I think it's important to talk about that kind of cycle.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I know
October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Oh,
so
fucking perfect.
Yeah.
And I think that, as of somebody who grew up in a house that, had issues, and I know all of us, everybody's got a story, right?
Yeah.
And again, we've talked about this before. It's, you either allow your story to be your story or you turn it around and make it better.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important to be aware of those, like you said, the cycles and the things like that can allow you to fall into traps in relationships, and maybe your own self-esteem is anchored on somebody giving you attention and a guy giving you attention.
And it's important to point it out because I think people tend to flip it around on the victim very often. Why didn't she leave? Why'd she go back to him? Why all these things? And it's a complicated issue.
It is a complicated issue. Yeah. And so anyway, to that point, this is not something that comes up in all the stories I read, but it is something that I found to be
important.
Very, very important to the story and the path that she goes down, you know, and the trust that she puts in men in her life that maybe don't deserve that trust. And speaking of men that don't deserve that trust, she's, like I said, kind of smart, bookish, always called herself the ugly duckling, which is very funny because
she's beautiful.
She's beautiful.
Yeah.
And at 17, she's working at a Dairy Queen in Vancouver, Canada. And
I always have a place at the DQ.
Everybody got a place at DQ. She's working at this Dairy Queen. She's 17 years old when Paul Snyder walks in. And when she walks in and sees Dorothy, he tells his friend, he's like, this girl could make me a lot of money.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Sounds like a nice guy.
Well, Paul was known around the neighborhood as, by the way, can we talk about my murder notes that are written on the tiniest
We're going to take a picture of those because, you look like a fucking serial killer right now. Anyway.
That's awesome.
It was all that was available in my hotel room. Paul was well known in the neighborhood. In fact, his nickname in the neighborhood was the Jewish Pimp.
Okay.
So, yeah, all the red flags.
So many problems with all of this.
He is 9 years her senior. And friends of Dorothy's really kind of warn her about this guy and warn her about his reputation on the streets. But Dorothy is very vulnerable. And of course, the vulnerability from, feeling like she was ugly her whole life to this guy who's like, you're fucking beautiful. You could be this, you could be that, you could be,
He lured her in.
Predators know. They can spot the wounded deer.
Yeah, you got those snake eyes. Yeah.
And so at the same time, this is 1978, Hugh Hefner is launching this massive campaign for his 100th anniversary of Playboy, or 100th? No, 25th. 25th.
I was like,
oh, that's not lining up. 25th anniversary of the Playboy, and so they were doing like a big, epic
Playmate. Were they doing like a model search?
Like a model search Playmate. Right. That was not written down very well in my murder notes, apparently. So he convinces her to take these pictures that he's going to submit to Playboy for this Playmate of the Year contest for 1978. In one of the movies that I saw, she's 17, I think, at the time, and he forges her mother's signature for these. But then in later things, that's never been said. So whether that's true or not,
she was underage.
Yeah, because it was said it was 1978. That would indicate that 18. She at least 18 or almost 18,
right?
At the very least. So I don't know,
illegal or just
questionable.
Yeah.
Questionable legal.
Or barely legal. Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah. So at any rate, I don't know if that part is true or not, but she submits these pictures that he takes of her to Playboy. Playboy freaks out the day after they get the pictures, and they fly her to Los Angeles and do their own photo shoot with her. And they're like,
she was that perfect, like,
she's
1970s, 1980s. Like, she had that look.
Yeah.
She looked like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Blonde, beautiful. Hefner is in love. He flies her out. He's like, she is perfect. He even describes her, like, personality wise as being like just this, not just being like this beautiful person on the outside, but a beautiful person on the inside as well. And he said he felt very fatherly and toward her, and because her personality was just so, he could see the vulnerability in her. He
wanted to protect her.
He had this kind of protective nature toward her, but just because, like, she is this girl next door. She's this kind of perfect, sweet, innocent,
and she's a child.
Door. Well,
I was like 18. You're still a child.
You're a baby. Yeah. And so, quickly at this time, Paul also starts to see that he's losing his foothold of this. So
losing control. Scary.
Yeah, he's like, shit, that really did take off. So he
that backfired.
Gets on a plane and gets his ass there and starts to really try to lock down this relationship. So he gets his butt to LA, really inserts himself into her life. Like, hi, I'm your protector. I'm the one who's making you, and I really want to be here for you. So much so that really when people were interviewed, he's kind of a lurch and everybody around knows, but she almost, feels like this obligation toward him because he is this guy who, without him, she wouldn't be where she is. And she feels like this sense of like, I owe you. And so he convinces her to marry him. And yes. Dorothy is not making a lot of money at this point because Playboy, in fact, did not make her the Playmate of the Year. Even though they loved her, they did make her a Playmate for a month in the following year. I think it was like August or something of the following year. They, she didn't make that big earning from this big contest. So it was, she's just making like meager wages, doing some shoots.
Right, like a typical model. Like, yeah. I think people have a misconception about like models and actors and things like that. They make a lot of money. And it's like, that's a very small percentage of people. Most people, even if they're in a magazine, are not making like crazy good money unless they're doing it constantly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but with those meager earnings, and they live in this kind of small kind of shit apartment that they found by the freeway that's like not even that nice, but Paul decides to splurge and buys himself a Mercedes with vanity plates that say star 80 because he starts telling people by 1980, I'm going to make her a star.
Ugh.
So he hangs his hat.
I fucking hate this guy.
I know. Hangs his hat on her, and that he is like, this is going to be my big move. Also, too, by the way, that Star 1980 is also the name of the movie that is made about her with Muriel Hemingway.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay.
So just FYI. So if you've seen that.
Hemingway plays her, that's so perfect and tragic.
Yeah. Absolutely. At the same time, though, Dorothy's invited to all these parties at the Hollywood or at the Playboy Mansion, and she starts being introduced to, all these like amazing people, celebrities, things like this. But she's also, again, kind of a small town girl. And it's funny because in the interview, one of her really close friends said she meets Peter Bogdanovich, which I don't know if you know him, but he's the guy who did Paper Moon. He was a really well known, guy and at that time, and she has no clue who he is. And so it was kind of funny to hear her friend kind of talk about how like she's like, oh hey, so what's your name? And she's like kind of like going,
what
like,
do you do?
Yeah, what do you do? Like, and secretly in the corner her friend's like, oh my god, she doesn't know this guy, you know. Like, you know, she's just this sweet, beautiful, innocent girl. And so they meet at this Playboy party, and instantly Bogdanovich is completely smitten with her. He had just ended a relationship with Candice Bergen, who he'd made pretty much a star, and he, you know, has a thing for these young hot blondes, don't they all?
Who doesn't?
And 3 months after meeting Peter, he decides that he's going to put Dorothy as a feature role in his upcoming movie.
Oof, talk about a Pretty Woman scenario.
I know. There we go.
You ask and you shall receive.
That never happens. These are the stories that fuel dreams to people like moving to LA. They're like,
exactly.
I'm going to run into Peter Bogdanovich at a party, and he's going to put me in his movie and make me a star.
Put me in his movies.
Yep.
I'm ready for my close-up,
That's
Mr.
the
DeMille.
title of this episode.
Pretty Woman.
Pretty Woman.
So anyway, they you know, kind of starting to become smitten with each other. Paul starts to notice that this is like, okay, she's really kind of smitten with this guy. I don't like this. He becomes intimidated and very suspicious. Dorothy goes to New York to film this movie, and they quickly start an affair. Mm-hmm. And they start to
color me shocked.
I know. Quelle surprise.
I'm so surprised.
Oh, and at the same time, this is kind of a side story that within the thing that I was just like fucking shocked the shit out of me. And it was just like this small little blurb, but I'm like, a friend of hers had talked about how she got Dorothy a puppy, and Dorothy had this puppy
No animal stuff
for a week. And after that, by the end of that next week, the dog was
I
dead.
fucking hate this person.
And she had said to her friend that Paul thinks that she loves the puppy more than he loves her.
Fuck
or she loves him.
this person.
Is that fucked up?
Fuck him so much.
Now, she didn't say for sure. She said she's pretty certain that he killed the dog.
Outside of some kind of freak medical like defect, your puppy shouldn't die a week after you get it. Yeah. So like that's horrifying. I fucking hate people who do things to animals.
How do you stay with somebody that like hurts
your animal?
An animal.
I don't know.
Like not even your animal, but like for me, it's such a character flaw.
Oh my god, yeah.
So
yeah,
that
red flag city. Come on,
little,
let's be honest.
Puppy.
Oh, it's just I know. It was like one of those little side things that I'm like, and, and she even said, she's like, hi, if there were fucking red flags, these were the red fucking flags. Like, we should have saw this
to
coming.
Bring that up because it's indicative of like
his character, who this guy is. I mean, that he's so fucking jealous of a dog that she loves. I mean, it's just crazy. And so, and two, like Paul is not, he's not making any money. He's been going down this road of like, he actually, funny story, was the person who basically created Chippendales. But just like with everything that Paul did, he kind of seemed to get pushed out by somebody richer, smarter, and it just kind of like was the nature of the shit that he tried to do this thing, and then it took off, and then and they're interviewing Hefner, and he's like, and the cuffs and the collars that the Chippendale dancers were wearing were, I mean, it's almost the exact same thing that the Playboy girls were wearing.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and
I thought you were talking about the Rescue Rangers or whatever, like Chippendale.
Chippendale.
I was like, such a dark spin on Chippendale. Oh my god, that is so funny. I was picturing something.
I was like, why are you so shocked by this?
You were like the cuffs and the collars. I was like, what? Oh,
oh my god!
Oh my god! Sorry. Oh god!
Oh my god! No, the Chippendales dance.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Glad we clarified that.
Yeah.
Oh my god, but thank you for getting that theme song stuck in my head for the rest of the day.
Shit, that is
my god.
I don't know if I'm ever going to stop laughing from that. It's so funny. No, the Chippendales dancers. So he is the person who kind of created Chippendales dancers, and again, a richer guy ends up pushing him out of anything that he could have earned from that, and it's just a series of like failures that,
and he doesn't want that to happen with Dorothy.
Yeah, I mean, Dorothy is his big prize pig, and he's gonna fucking make his money off of it. You know what I mean?
Ugh.
I mean, it's disgusting. But that's
his mentality, though.
That's his mentality. Yeah. I mean, this is a guy who was making money by pimping women in Vancouver. This isn't
not of high moral character here.
Yeah. The standard at level shouldn't be that high for this guy at this point. But it's becoming obvious that Peter has more to offer Paul. So Dorothy is really, really falling for Peter Bogdanovich. She is smitten by him. She's seeing all the faults start to come to light from
Right,
Paul.
because you get somebody who kind of treats you well and you have something to compare it to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like before she had no frame of reference.
I know so much about that. It's not even funny.
Yeah. You don't always see the cracks when you're in it.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely. And you start to see somebody who will treat you well and who is just head over heels for you, and not head over heels because they can make money off of you.
They like you for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Peter he's a very ambitious guy. He wants to take care of her family. He meets her family. They start to become really, really close. At the same time, in the middle of shooting this film, which is called They All Laughed is the name of the movie, by the way, that she's in. And she starts to do this tour to promote her Playmate of the Month thing. Yes. And so she's going around. She also wins Playboy Playmate of the Year 1980. So that's another thing that's kind of all happening at the same time. Her career is really starting to take off. Mm-hmm. And so she's taking like this tour around the country and all this stuff to promote Playmate of the Year. She goes to Vancouver at the last stage of her
tour.
Thank you, tour. Gosh. Mm-hmm. And Dorothy at that time sends a letter to Paul asking for a separation. She had already closed all their joint bank accounts. And
Smart.
Yeah. And
Smart
so
girl.
She's already starting to be like, I know I want to be with Peter. Like, this is the end. We're done
good
here.
for her. That's such a difficult thing to do. And so like, that's such a smart, really it's a smart way to go about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know where this is going. So I'm always like,
I know.
But like,
so she's like, I know this is over. She's like, she's already shut down the accounts. At the time before that, even though too, Paul had been getting only a small stipend, like of $1,000, I think a month or whatever at the time, just to cover basic, expenses and needs. And so he's also trying to do his side hustle. So he starts creating like these like sex chairs and things that he's going to start selling to these local sex stores. And
sex chair. What?
Yeah.
What's involved in that?
By the way, sex stores, we're not interested. So
I want to see one.
Yeah.
I need to understand how that works.
So he basically makes like a prototype that ends up going nowhere except for his bedroom. So FYI. Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.
Gross.
That's so funny.
So yeah. So also too, at that same time, when she wins this summer in 1980, when she wins this Playmate of the Year, she gets a $100,000 cash prize. And so again, Paul's like, this is my big fucking, meal ticket. And now she wants to cut me out of my meal ticket. And now she's, so all this stuff is happening at once. But she is not done filming her movie. So June of 1980, Dorothy returns to New York to finish They All Laughed. He has two of his friends spy on Dorothy and finds out she's having a relationship with Peter Bogdanovich. Mm-hmm. July 30th, Dorothy and Peter return home from New York, and Paul finds out that Peter had been waiting for their arrival at his house and had fired shots at the house. 2 shots were fired at the house. So already things are starting to escalate.
Escalating violence.
Of like frightening behavior. So fast forward to August 14th, Dorothy had been speaking to Paul and she's like, I really need to finalize this situation. She's like, I need to just meet with Paul and just like, we have to for real end this. So she decides to meet with Paul and have this conversation. Like, we need to get a divorce. We're through here. This is done. So she's with Peter at the house with her sister. And so she's like, she drops her sister off at the beach and she tells Peter, I'm going to go meet with my attorney. I have some meetings this afternoon and I'm going to do some shooting and whatever and this. And she instead goes to meet with Paul privately.
Oh, why would you go by yourself?
Especially, dude, I'm sorry. If someone killed an animal, like...
Yeah.
Somebody killed an animal and shot like a gun at your house.
Yeah.
Like, you can't go by yourself.
Don't go by yourself.
Yeah.
But I think she, again, I think there's this part of her that's like, I may have owed him. I may, he's.
When you feel like that person, and you feel like they're not really going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Like,
he loves me. Deep down, he would not really hurt me.
He's just upset.
The truth of the matter is, though, like, how many stories do we need to hear about, like, you never knew the person that was sleeping beside you? I mean, there are people that are married to serial killers. Yeah. Like, you never know someone else. Yeah. The end. Well, you can never, ever, like that, ever know them.
Don't meet at somebody's house. Meet in public.
Yeah.
Especially when you know it's the end of the relationship.
If you're going to go by yourself, then meet at a coffee shop. Go somewhere. Not to say that something bad still couldn't happen there, but at least, because it has and it could.
Yeah.
But at least you have a shot because you're not completely alone.
Right.
Yeah. It's all very sad. And again, we could all be like, oh, she should have known better and all this stuff. But I think deep down, no, I know you're not.
Get it.
No, and it's the hindsight of it all, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
We have hindsight's 20/20, and we have,
So she shows up at Paul's house to try to explain to him that it was time to break up, and that she officially wants the divorce. Her sister, who was supposed to be picked up at the beach by 2:00, doesn't hear from her. Peter, by the next morning, is like, where the fuck is she? What's going on? And her sister, Louise, tells Peter, like, I think she went to meet with Paul. I'm pretty sure that's where she's at. And so they try to call, no answer, no nothing. So police arrive at Paul's apartment and find Dorothy Stratton has been shot in the face, and Paul had killed himself with a shotgun.
Kill yourself.
They found that she had been raped and murdered, that she had been tied up to that sex chair. They found her hair with like surgical tape on the sex chair. It was a fucking
a piece of fucking garbage. Like, honestly.
Is that the worst?
It's the fucking worst. Like, just take yourself out, dude. Just take yourself out.
It's all very disgusting, and just found raped, beaten, and 12 gauge shotgun in the face. Bloody handprints were found on her body, and like I said, her hair was found stuck to medical tape on the chair. His body was on top of the gun. They had found no shots were heard because their apartment, as I had mentioned earlier, was by the freeway.
Oh my God.
So no one heard a thing. Nobody had, any clue it had even happened. She was 20 years old, you guys. 20 years old. Ugh. In 1983, there was a made-for-TV movie, like I was saying, or I'm sorry, maybe it wasn't made for TV, but it was a movie made, Star 80, that starred Muriel Hemingway and Eric Roberts. Also, then right after that,
Eric Roberts. Always gets roles like that.
And everything. He's in everything. 1984, Peter Bogdanovich writes a book about the killing. It's called The Killing of the Unicorn. Peter in the book points a finger of blame right directly at Hugh Hefner, basically saying that Hugh is, like, it's all his fault. She wouldn't have been in the situation.
He just needed to point the finger at somebody because he was in so much pain.
I definitely think that's exactly what it was. But Hugh is so distressed by this that Hugh actually has a stroke. And he is absolutely just like, at the time, he's like, this has, completely devastated by this. I know how you, Keegan, I know how you feel about Hugh Hefner, but I truly believe that he is completely distraught as well.
I believe that too. Yeah. And I mean, I do believe that. And like, I have issues with Hugh Hefner in some ways, but like, that doesn't mean that he didn't actually like really care
about
for
these
her.
people.
Yeah. And it doesn't make it fair to point
fingers that,
that's hurtful.
Yeah. Hugh, like I said, has a stroke, and he blames Peter, and it claims because of the claims that he makes in the book.
Okay, guys, how about you stop fucking pointing fingers at each other and maybe point fingers at Paul, because he's the one who did this. It's 100% Paul's fault.
Hi, 100% Paul's fault.
100%.
We all know who's to blame here.
Yeah.
There's an obvious finger to point.
We don't need fingers at each other, guys.
Yeah. That's exactly how I felt about watching that too.
It's the guilt that you have when somebody that you care about dies, and like we said, hindsight, when it's like, you feel the guilt over you should have seen it. Like, everybody knew he was a piece of shit. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Everybody obviously knew he was a piece of shit and he was no good. And so there's that guilt that they carry on themselves. Like, why did I let her go
And you
alone,
can't-
or why
and
did
that guy's dead,
why did I
so-
not protect her?
You can't put your anger, you can't direct your anger there because that
Yeah.
guy is gone.
Right.
So you direct it at someone
else
who's
is there?
living
Yeah.
who
Yep.
you think should have
This
protected her
person
better.
knew. Yeah, this person knew her. Yeah.
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 Hugh also at the time is claiming, he's starting to make claims of his own. One of which is that he's saying that Peter has now gone after her 16-year-old sister, and stating that they were having, yeah.
Ooh.
Well, the family
Ooh, yikes.
sues for libel. That suit was dropped. Guilt, I'm sure, from Peter's inability to protect Dorothy is something I
Right.
wrote because I
Yeah.
think this is all part of it. But they do drop the suit. Peter does start a relationship with Louise.
Okay. All right, Peter.
1988 in December, 49-year-old Peter actually marries Louise at 20 years old.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, Peter, I was trying to be in your
I
corner
know.
here. I really was. But that's
eh,
weird.
Yeah. In 2001, though, 13 years later, Louise does file for divorce. So they are no longer married. But I've
seen pictures of Louise, and
She's
Louise
beautiful,
and
too.
Dorothy look alike. So
They do look a lot
it's
alike.
weird.
And you can, again, you can almost see like this kind of like he was so in love with this person. I mean, even in the interview when they're talking to him in this interview, like he's distraught still.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I mean, I have no doubt. I saw something on that, some like ID show, ID show, but
Well, it's like grief can bring people together. It's like what
Right.
But not a 16-year-old.
Jean Benet's dad is married to
Oh, yeah.
Natalie Holloway's mother.
yes,
Oh, that's
yeah,
right.
it totally can, and they've gone through a very unique experience together that other
Right.
people don't understand. I get that, but also, yeah, one.
You're 49 and she's 20.
16. Yeah, like which is gross.
Yeah.
First of all,
Yeah.
I
But yeah, I
forget what
can
was gonna
see
say.
from like her point of view, it's like if she was really close with her sister, it's like, oh, like you
This is
loved
the
my
piece.
sister.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean?
And
I
like,
think for both of
that's-
them, I'm sure they're both broken.
That's
in
what I
many
was going to
ways.
say.
Yeah.
Is the show that I watched, I have no doubt that he really loved her.
Oh,
Like
no.
he really did seem to really love Dorothy. So I have no doubt about that. I just think it's very weird to go after the teenage sister who looks a lot like the
Yeah.
woman that you were in love with. Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of layers to this
Yeah.
story. And
it is.
as
It's
a
very
whole.
layered, and it's
Yeah.
a very fascinating look at like people
But God.
and how complex they are.
But to lose your life at 20 years old by, you know.
when
at the
you were
hands-
trying to stand up for yourself, because that's
Yeah. For the
like,
first
at
time maybe in
20,
her life,
yeah,
if
at
you really
20,
be honest.
the fact that she was even trying to take control and take control of her life is super impressive.
Yeah,
and the
admirable.
fact that like,
Yeah. But I
shit
think
people,
at that,
man.
at that point too, you know what? Speak to my attorney about it. Like there's no reason for us to meet one-on-one.
But she's 20.
I get it.
But
I get
that's
it,
The
and
other
again-
thing too is like we live in a different world
For sure.
nowadays where it's like I feel like we maybe are more protective or more protected
yeah.
or more knowledgeable of the risks that
Of
are out
course.
there. So
this is a girl
you know
who
what I
grew
mean?
up whenever hitchhiking was okay.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like
Exactly.
we have a different understanding of like danger
Yeah.
now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, people didn't talk about, there was no domestic violence awareness month
No.
in 1980. You know what I mean?
No.
People just didn't talk about
No,
that shit.
I
The
think
resources
I
were
think
just
it was
not
still
available.
legal a lot of times to beat your wife
in some
most-
states.
In some states,
I mean, marital rape was still
Ugh.
legal in
Yeah.
1980. Like,
So-
so it was just not something that people just didn't have that kind of, we didn't have the fuck politeness culture that we have today.
Yeah.
So,
But
Oh my
it
God,
is.
I'm still
I
thinking
think
about
that
the
I think it'd be
Chippendales.
a good idea to put in our notes though about since it is
we
you
did
know,
a domestic violence episode for my other podcast, and I have a link to
Great.
like the domestic violence hotline.
Yeah.
We've put the link in our show notes before. Actually,
Yeah, so we
We'll
can
do it
pull
again.
from the Lorena Bobbitt episode. So
Mm-hmm.
if that's something that you or someone you know is going through or struggling with,
Know that
or
there's resources
need
available.
resources,
Yeah.
we'll put it in our show notes.
come stay at my house. I got you, girl.
Yeah, man.
That's
Stay in
right.
the pod loft.
yeah.
There's a bed right here.
There's a bed right in the pod loft.
Can be kind of hot, but you get front row seats to the show.
I know.
so
We'll let you sit
comes
in.
with perks.
Yeah, perks. All the perks.
All the perks. Oh man,
Well, thank you
Chippendales.
for that. Oh my god. I mean, seriously. I was like,
You're like, really? You
I
created
was
that?
like,
I
wow,
think that's Disney
that
actually.
makes it is Disney, but I was like, God, that makes it really dark now.
Oh my god. So awesome.
Oh my
I used to
God.
watch that show all the time.
Oh my God. Totally as a kid.
That is so
Oh
funny.
man.
All right. Well, reminder again, please check out our Patreon.
Yeah.
We'll put that link in the show notes as well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
And on all of our social medias, Facebook group, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. Come and play with us because we love it. And send us your shame receipts, your stories, all kinds of, be they short, be they long, to myworstdatepodcast@gmail.com.
And your high school stories, please.
Yeah.
Because we want to do an
Fun.
episode of high school stories.
I've compiled like a couple of them. I've got 2 like short ones for our high school
I've got a
episode.
couple too. Yeah.
Yay,
That'll be fun.
I
Okay.
can't wait.
Great.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, you guys.
Cheers.
This is a Glassbox Media Podcast.